Hello and welcome to Aging Matters, a program featuring people who talk about issues of interest to older adults and their families. I'm Cheryl Beversdorf, your host. Today, Aging Matters offers another Stories of Life program where guests talk about how their life experiences made a difference to them and to their community. My guest is Joy Nathan, a Washington, D.C. based actor who has performed in film, television, and theater, and worked in commercials, PSAs, print media, radio recordings, and voiceovers. Joy will talk about what led her to become an actor and describe characters and roles she has played in a broad array of venues and settings. She'll also share highlights of her career and aspirations for future work as an actor. During the program, we will also see clips of Joy's performances in several recent American movies, a video about aging, and a commercial. So welcome, Joy, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, Joy, as always, I like to, on my Stories of Life series, find out where were you born and raised, and describe your early years. Tell us about it.
I was born in New York, and I grew up in Midtown Manhattan, and I was a child actor. I was very fortunate to go to professional children's school. It happened to be the best school in the neighborhood. I went there for 12 magical years, first grade through 12th, and professional children's school is a purely academic school, at least it was then. Very short hours, very intense studying, short lunch hour, and we had a correspondence course, which is what they called it, which is that all of the curriculum was designed ahead of time so that if you were in rehearsal or had practice sessions out of town, for whatever reason, you could follow the curriculum. Some of the jobs that I did were, I did commercials for the Bell Telephone Hour on the stage at Carnegie Hall. I did commercials for Little Lady Cosmetics on a weekly television show. I had prominent roles in a radio program, the Daffy Time Playhouse, all live. This was in the days when everything was live, and it was a lot of fun. I loved it. I enjoyed it very much.
And so you did this all before college?
Oh, yes. This was during my time at Professional Children's School.
Okay.
We also had a wonderful group called the Gertrude Lawrence Players, and we would go around and we would do variety shows at a lot of organizations. We would take it to hospitals and children's wards, and also at school. I have still very close friendships with a lot of the people with whom I went to Professional Children's School.
Okay, so let's take us on to college. Where did you attend college, and what did you plan to do after college, since acting was already a part of your life?
I went to Barnard College. I loved New York, and I didn't really want to leave New York. However, I had always also been interested in art. I'd gone to the Art Students League, which was near where I lived, and I majored in fine arts, in art history, and I didn't join any of the theater groups. I didn't audition for any shows, but I did have a radio show on the Columbia radio station, WKCR, which is where I also met my husband. And when I was a junior, because of my background, I was asked to direct the junior show, traditionally an all-women show. And my colleagues and I, the composer, the playwright, we decided to have a co-ed show. And it was quite scandalous that we were going to do this. We were totally exonerated years later because I cast as the leading man Brian Dennehy, who later went on to win a Tony Award.
Good for you.
And then when I was a senior, I kind of missed being on the stage, having directed that show. And so I auditioned for the Columbia Varsity show, and I was cast as the leading ingenue. And that was the beginning of my wanting to do it again.
Well, and that sounds like the answer to my next question was, what led you to pursue an acting career? It sounds like you were all ready to move into that full time. Is that correct?
I married shortly after college, and my husband had taken a job in Cleveland, Ohio. At that time, and now too, I think, Cleveland was an extremely rich theater scene. And I began to audition the Cleveland Playhouse, Obama Players, Caramoo, fabulous theaters, wonderful theater groups. And I was very lucky to be cast in a lot of classic roles: Chekhov, Shakespeare, Dos Passos, Odets, O'Neill, and I had a terrific run in Cleveland. It was just terrific.
And given all of this experience that you've been really talking about, did you really have to go someplace to learn the basics of acting, or did you kind of build on your experience and your skills and take some acting classes all along? I mean, what was kind of the process then as you were performing in all of these various places?
I think it was really on-the-job training. I think my experience really came from starting to work at a very young age. We all went to dance classes, singing classes, piano lessons. I did very little theater training. I was very lucky to have some marvelously gifted directors. I think we learned a lot from those directors. The emphasis was really on focusing, and I never considered myself a method actor. I never really thought too much about what my motivation was. I just enjoyed it very much. It's a wonderful story that the director, George Abbott, once told an actor to move from one side of the stage to the other, and the actor said, "What's my motivation?" And he said, "Your job."
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. So I guess I'm also wondering about promoting yourself. I mean, actors, there are so many actors in all walks of life, whether it's television or films. How do you promote yourself? How do you get out there and say, I'm the best person to a director for a particular role? How does that happen? What do we need to know about that?
I think as a child and as a young adult, it was just what I did. It was what we all did. And I didn't really go to great lengths to promote myself. It was almost as if one job would lead to another. There was a lot of networking. There were casting notices in places, newspapers and other areas where you could see auditions posted, and from each other. In Cleveland, I was very lucky. People would come to see a performance, and a lot of times I didn't even have to audition. I was asked to play the role. Now, after Cleveland, we moved to Washington, D.C., and I took a very long intermission. We have two wonderful boys, twin boys, and from the time they were born until they went to college, I concentrated on art, on painting, volunteering at their schools, and I did not work in those years.
So there was no acting at all, or even participating as a volunteer during that time?
No, and that is when I did have to promote myself, when I decided to go back to work.
Okay, and how did that occur? I mean, were you at a different stage in your life then? Were you then looking at different roles than perhaps when you were younger?
Oh yes, because I was looking at more mature roles.
Okay.
And having twins, they both went off to college at the same time, and that's when I decided that I should go back to work. And then I had to get new headshots, I had to create new resumes, and I took a lot of classes. I went to classes. The opportunities in the Washington area are really marvelous. And I began to network. One of the teachers that I had one day asked me if she could send me to an audition. And I said, sure. And at that audition, I met somebody who suggested that I join the Actors Center, which is a terrific organization. And they have a daily hotline that tells you about auditions. They run classes and all kinds of workshops. And it was really through the Actors Center that I got connected with local agencies and agents. There's no exclusivity. And to this day, I am still contacted by those agencies.
And have there been certain acting roles that you've aspired to perform? And as you were acting, again, I wanted to make sure that our audience understands, was this in film, or was this on the stage, or in television? What kind of roles and where were you looking to perform?
Well, when I went back to work, a lot of it was in PSAs, commercials, what they call industrials in the Washington area. And the kind of roles that were open to me were the mothers and grandmothers of the people that I used to play, which were fine with me. And it was all of those mediums, film, stage, television. And sometimes it wasn't always an audition, but it was always very serendipitous. I did audition for a film, Geographically Desirable. I think you're going to have a clip for it later.
Yes.
And in that movie, the actor who played my husband recommended me to the next movie I did, and I auditioned for that movie, A Host of Sparrows, and I auditioned for 2 roles, and because I love doing dialects, I got the Irish mother for that role, and that movie, I was nominated for Best Supporting Actor by Maverick Movie Awards.
Congratulations.
Which was quite a fabulous surprise.
And now you've got so many different experiences, and I'm just curious, do you have a preference for a particular venue in which you prefer to act? And how do you decide what's best for you, or do you kind of take it as it comes along and know that you're going to be good no matter what you do?
Well, I think that all actors are looking for a connection with an audience. And of course, live theater, when you have the immediacy of a live audience, is everybody's favorite. But you have an audience for film, and it's something lasting, which I think is also very appealing. And that's true of commercials and public service announcements. They are definitely pinpointed to certain audiences and hoping to reach certain audiences, selling a product or an idea. And I think that for me, any opportunity that affords me that experience is wonderful.
Okay. Well, we're going to have an opportunity to see that right now. So
Okay.
you are about to see several clips of Joy's performances in 2 recent American movies, which she just talked about, also a video about aging and a commercial. So let's watch.
Why is she here, Mom?
Why is who here, dear?
Margot.
Finn didn't say. He just said to expect her. I thought he was doing it for you. As a favor. Have you seen her yet?
What's the point?
She's the only family you've got now.
I've got you. I can just convince you to retire.
I could never leave the business. Your father and I built up that place from nothing. It's where I want to be when I go.
Mom, you've already done that.
I know. It's not enough.
Well, maybe try it first.
It's fine. Have you seen her yet?
Mom, what's going on? Hi, baby. I'm at Uncle Eddie's house. He died last night, honey. Oh, no. Mom, are you okay? I'm just numb, honey. He had a heart attack.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, honey. Uncle Eddie loved you so much.
I know, I loved him too, Mom.
Oh, baby. You look so pale.
Thanks, Mom. You look good too. So how did it happen?
He was just making coffee, and he had a massive heart attack. Had a routine. He'd go and get breakfast at some diner every morning, and when he didn't show up, they called the police. Uncle Eddie gave you the house.
What? Why would he do that?
Well, we were really the only family Uncle Eddie had after Aunt Val died. I guess he thought it was a good idea.
I don't know what to say.
Thank you, Uncle Eddie. Since your dad died...
Oh, come on, Mom. Today, we're watching the game.
Yeah, it's the first time we've been together in a long time. Can we just relax?
As I was saying, since your dad died, this house seems too big for me, and I'm alone a lot. So I've been talking to a financial planner and a lawyer, trying to figure out what I should do.
Mom, isn't this a little sudden? Why are you doing this now? Look, whatever you want to do. That's absolutely fine.
Well, I've decided. I'm selling this house, and I'm moving to Brightview.
Wait,
I'm so glad that you're willing to spend a little time with me after dinner to talk about my plans. I know it's not the way you'd like to be spending Thanksgiving afternoon.
Oh, no, you're right about that, Mom.
Well, like I said, I will keep my promise to you that this is not going to take long. And I hope it's the first of several conversations that we're going to have when we can have good, honest talks about the next stage of my life. I am getting older, and there's some big changes coming for me. You're the most important people in my life, and I want your ideas and your support. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I've been thinking about this for months, and I'm just telling you about it today. I didn't mean to make you anxious. In fact, what I meant was just the opposite. So you would know that I'm organized and I have a good plan. But look, I'm willing to take more time. I'm willing to talk more and to consider all of your concerns before I make any final decisions.
The holidays are busy with grocery trips galore, but you never quite know what might be in store. Pay it backward to a stranger, a small token of cheer. Holiday spirit is contagious, that much is clear.
I hope you enjoyed watching clips that showed Joy's versatility as an actor and a sampling of roles she has performed during her illustrious career. So having said that, I want to ask you, Joy, of the many roles that you've played, and it sounds like there have been quite a few, is there one that was especially a favorite, and why?
I think we have to go back to that Columbia Varsity show, because I think that's what sparked, again, my enjoyment of doing these performances. It was directed by Michael Kahn. The music was by Ed Kleban. The book was written by Terrence McNally. We were all still kids in college, and it was a really fantastic experience.
And when was that again?
When I was a senior in college.
Wow.
Right,
So,
long time ago.
I guess. Well, I wanted to digress a little bit because I know you've done other things besides films as well.
Yes.
And one thing that particularly was of interest to me was the fact that you have been involved in being an expert and lay witness role player. What does that mean, and what was that like? Tell us about that.
Yes, I continue to do that, and I've done that for many years now, and it is most often under the auspices of the National Institute for Trial Advocacy. And what it involves is a great deal of preparation, a lot of improvisation, a lot of imagination, and some memorization. We get the brief. It's for deposition training, mock trials, witness preparation, for associates in law firms, for continuing legal education. So we have the case file, and we are familiarizing ourselves with the roles, with the witnesses, and I've been a naval architect, I've been a nuclear physicist, I've been a heart surgeon, I've been a civil engineer, and we have to present as that expert, and they don't give us any room. You know, we have to answer those questions, and we don't know what the questions are going to be. So to a great extent, it is extemporaneous, although we have completely familiarized ourselves with the role and with the case and the facts of the case. I love it.
I guess it sounds like it's a lot of improv too, in terms of knowing what to say.
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
And sometimes we have no backstory. So if they begin to ask us anything about certain other parts of our background, we have to make that up.
And I'm sure you do that very well.
It's fun.
Another aspect, and obviously we saw you in a commercial, but talk a little bit more about that. How often have you acted in commercials? What are some other examples that you have been? You've obviously talked about what you've done as a witness role player. What about commercials? What kinds of commercials? And do you have some way of selecting what you're going to do? How does that work?
Well, I can certainly turn it down, but I've been doing commercials since I was a very little girl. I mentioned the Little Lady Cosmetics in the Bell Telephone Hour. I did public service announcements, the Little Sister for the Big Sister campaign, did a lot of modeling, which is also a kind of a commercial, of course. And then in recent years, I've done Kroger, Amtrak, M&T Bank, T. Rowe Price. I've been very lucky in getting a lot of commercials, and I actually have a commercial running right now on cable stations, and I've been hearing from friends, there have been sightings, so it goes on, and I'm very happy about it. I love doing it.
Well, and to that point, Joy, I wanted to hear about what does the future look like for you? I mean, you have such a broad, diverse career already in so many different venues. Are there any new roles that you want to audition for in the future, whether, again, it be on stage, screen, or television, or some other kinds of work that would just be the right thing for you at this point in your life?
Well, I think new is the operative word. I hope something's being written right now.
Okay.
For the stage, screen. I think a recurring role in a TV show would be very nice. Sometimes I think it would be lovely if somebody would do a screenplay based on one of the law cases that we do, and I'd be very available to play the plaintiff or the defendant, and I just look forward to more opportunities.
In all of those venues that
Absolutely,
we're
absolutely.
talking about?
Yes, here I am. Come and find me.
So give us a little bit more information about your memories, and not only just in terms of your acting, but I think we all wonder what it's like to be on stage and interacting with other people and establishing maybe relationships with the cast. You wonder, well, how do you memorize all those lines? Do you see these people that you act with after you're finished? Give us a little bit more of an overview of what being an actor is like in the broader sense.
Well, I think mentioning the other actors, the cast, the crew, everybody involved, I think that is really one of the most important factors. The memories, the relationships, the current friendships that I have maintained are really wonderful. I think that each project, every play, every movie, even the commercials, even the in and out jobs, it's always a little universe of the people involved, and you hold on to that. You hold on to those very good memories. And I really think it's a marvelous way of living, and I encourage others to do it.
Well, and one question I just have to ask, because I have always been a theater lover as well, and I am especially impressed with when somebody has many, many lines to memorize. And I'm curious to know, how do you memorize all those lines? Is there some sort of technique that you learn early on that helps you to remember the lines and forget the ones that you knew before because they're no longer applicable? I'm just curious to know.
Well, I do forget after I've done it, even the law cases, which are often repeated. We still have to go back and look at it again. I don't know how to answer that question. I've never really had a problem memorizing lines, and I'm glad. I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, but you obviously do a great job, and with no effort. So, but it's certainly something that people wonder about, especially if
Oh,
they
yes,
have
I
many,
know.
many lines.
Even my husband. And he sometimes does lines with me.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, he helps you.
Oh, yes, sure.
So, because you have had such an illustrious experience in doing so many different things, do you have any advice to young people who are thinking of pursuing an acting career? And what would you tell them that they need to know?
I'd say do it. Go for it. Audition, join the drama groups at your school. It's a really terrific experience. It isn't just the actual performing, but as I said, all the people that you work with, and it's a marvelous social interaction. Take classes, go to plays, go to films, join the Actors Center, where the information that they provide is invaluable. Now, there are dues, but if you get one job, you pay for those dues very easily. And I think that it is an incredible organization, and not just for young people. I also encourage my contemporaries. I encourage older people. As a matter of fact, today, you do need a headshot, you do need a resume, but a lot of times they're not even asking for a resume, and they're asking for selfies. And I think it's a time. There are a lot of pharmaceutical commercials. If you watch the Academy Awards and the SAG-AFTRA, older people are getting work. And Ruth Gordon, who got her Oscar at a very late time in life, when she received it, she looked at it and she said, "I can't tell you how encouraging a thing like this is." So I encourage others to join.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Joy Nathan, actor in film, television, theater, and other media, for joining me today. This program is broadcast Sundays at 5:30 p.m. and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. on Comcast Channel 69 or Verizon Channel 38 in Arlington, Virginia. Aging Matters is also on the radio. The program is broadcast every Tuesday at 2 p.m. and Friday at 2 p.m. on WERA Arlington 96.7 FM. And be sure to check out the Aging Matters website. It's agingmattersonline.com. There you can find more information about all of our radio programs and the TV episodes. So thank you for watching the program today, and please join me again for the next Aging Matters show. And until then, remember, age is just a number, not a label.